G'day, welcome back to another episode of TOGL. This is an exciting one, this episode. We've got the house coming very soon. This little cutout behind me, this is where we're going to put the biogas system. As you would have seen a few weeks ago, I had it levelled out. Well, I levelled it out with the tractor. I've been chatting with a fella called Mark, who's down here in Tassie as well, very knowledgeable about biogas and biochar and whatnot. And I'm looking forward to working with him in coming weeks and months and years. But one of the suggestions was getting some sort of heating for the biogas bladder, because the warmer it is, the better the digestion works, where it breaks everything down. So what we were thinking was, I'm going to put some hose. This is just grey water hose, and I'm going to zigzag this all along the bottom before I put the sand in. So this is going to be kind of like in-floor heating. What we'll do is we will set up a system at some point to pump warm water through this, and it will just help heat the ground underneath the bladder to keep it a bit warmer. I only need to do that during the winter. I'm also considering putting like a little polytunnel over this as well, so clear plastic, and that will help keep in some of the heat as well. So all these things will help to keep the temperature up and keep the digestion process going of our biogas system. So best we get into it, I need to get this in, and like I said, the little house is going to be showing up very shortly. Alright, so this is the approximate dimensions. It's about 210 by 115, so let's call it 2 meters by 1 meter. That's where the bladder, well, that's the size of the bladder, the footprint of the bladder. So that's where I'm going to put some of this hose. Now I'm going to have to get some peg this down. But the whole idea is that I will have both ends up here, and then it'll come down and just zigzag backwards and forwards, and then around and back up, so both ends here, just so the water can go in a loop through and back. As soon as I get that peg down, then I'll get some sand in on top of it to hold it, and then we'll get it all leveled out. I had a better idea. I'm going to use star pickets to lay on top of it at each end, and I'll zigzag it up and down. Why do a heap of little ones left and right if I can just do a couple of big ones up and down? The worst thing about this stuff is that the coil in it, it's so, just wants to spring back, but you get the idea of what I'm doing. Now I do have some more that I'm going to have to go and get. This was a 10 meter length, and I thought, oh yeah, it's only 2 meters long, 10 meter length, that'll give me plenty. But I guess you take another 2 meters here to come up to the top. There's 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, you pretty quickly run out of 10 meters. So I will go down and grab the other bit of piping that I've got, and then, like I said, I'm just going to shovel sand in over this, and that's going to just help give it that little bit extra. Oh, it just needs to be an extra couple of degrees, just enough to boost it. This old stuff that I just went down and got has more twist in it than the new stuff. It's really painful. So I'm just going to have to start dumping some piles of sand on as I work that pipe through, I think. Okay, so hopefully you're getting the idea. Now I'm just going to cover all this in sand and then start to level it out. Well, we've got a lovely sunny morning this morning, although it is a little grey out that way. They do predict rain today. This morning, this is the morning we get to set up the house. Only the house ain't here. Got held up in quarantine. The company had left, or the company in China, they left some leaves inside the container, and that was enough for it to fail its quarantine inspection, and then it required a full clean. This is the leaves. Only a handful, but it was enough to fail it. That cost me an extra several $100 for quarantine to unpack it and clean it and pack it again. When I say several hundred, we're talking up close towards the $1,000 mark extra because those leaves were left in. So not happy, and it's delayed us by another week because I'll have to wait until next Saturday when everyone's available to come. Everyone was raring to go. But yeah, I had to say, sorry, house isn't here, we got to put it off by a week. As I say, I need, most of the people that are coming to help, they work, so I need to wait until they're off work. So next Saturday it'll be. So another week's delay. Anyway, I have emailed the company in China about that, to see what they intend doing about it. We'll see. It's just likely to probably just to tell me that too bad, but we'll see what happens. So, what I will do over the course of the coming week, well, at least the next few days until the house shows up. The house should show up on probably Monday or Tuesday, and then during the week I can get it moved onto the stumps and secured down and get ready for when we do unfold it when everyone gets here the next Saturday. But what it means I can do now is I will get more timber milled. I'm going to do a little bit of reinforcing on the solar panel structure. And but the more milling of timber is that I need to get those trusses built. They still aren't built yet, so I'll get the trusses built and ready to go so that once the house is in place, I can get the trusses and the roofing straight on as well. So we'll get that sorted out. Anyway, yes, disappointing, especially when we've got a really good gap in the weather here. It would have been a perfect morning to get this assembled. Fingers crossed, next Saturday, which if you're watching this when it gets released will be tomorrow, so I release these on a Friday night. Hopefully the weather will be great for that too. Anyway, hopefully throughout this video you will see the house arrive, the crane come in, it getting put on, you just won't see the unfolding. So time to get milling. Right, I wasn't going to show it, but just before we go and start that timber milling, I'll just show you what I did with the bracing. It only took me 30 minutes. So this is what I've done down on this high end. So on this outer one, I did actually cut it in, as you can see. It just, as I've said, it gives it more strength. And cut in down this end. Now, the other one I did on the inside, so we'll just pop under there. And so same thing, and I actually notched it into the wood. Now, I put this one on first, and that one actually made quite a difference just having that on. And then I put the other one on, and that made an even bigger difference. And then I thought, so because they were both notched in, there was actually still a gap between where they crossed, just back there was still a gap in the middle, probably a gap of about that much. I thought if I can close that up with a bolt and pull them in together, that's just going to tighten the whole structure right down. And that's exactly what it did. So I was able to get a bolt right through there, and I closed that gap right up, and in doing so, that's rock solid now. That doesn't wobble at all. Like, I can put a lot of weight on that and that's not wobbling. Up the other end, it doesn't need so much bracing up the other end because it's so much lower to the ground. If I come out this way, you see more of what I mean. So because this was higher up here, it had a lot more chance to pivot and move. But over here at this end, it's so close down to the ground that this end was already very solid. Now, that being said, in the future, I may actually end up turning this into some sort of a storage shed, because you can actually buy rubber stripping that you put in from the front, and it actually goes down in the middle here and across through that gap. If you put all that rubber stripping in, it essentially makes that one big sheet that I can catch more rainwater off. Run a gutter along the bottom there and put a tank down the bottom there and catch more water. But it also means that no water comes through to underneath. So what I might end up doing is building this in as a wall. I'll put a wall in on this here, which means that there'll probably be a little brace up here somewhere, because I'll put a doorway in or something. But anyway, that's all plans for the future. At the moment, it is rock solid, and the reason I did decide to do it now, a few people had expressed concern about the fact that it was a bit wobbly. They could tell that when I was on it through the videos, and with the strong winds that we do get up here. I thought, yeah, when I've got time, I'll get it done. And then I thought, well, you know what? If I don't get it done straight away and the wind does blow it over, I've just wasted all that time because I'm back to square one and possibly damage the panels. It took me 30 minutes. I put in 30 minutes effort. I now have no concerns. That isn't going anywhere. All those beams are 100 by 100 beams. They're solid. It's concreted into the ground. It's all braced and secure. It's fine. So that was time well spent to get that done, and now it is very well complete. So now we'll head down to the timber mill and we'll start milling the timber for the trusses and for the laundry room. And in the famous words of Annie Lennox, here comes the rain again. It is. In the time it took me to drive down from up the hill, it started raining. So there's the timber mill over there. I'm just gonna sit in here, have a coffee, and then I will head over and start getting some timber milled. I will get there. Days like today, it's sort of a little hard to get motivated, but we'll get up there in a minute and we'll start milling some timber. That rain didn't last long, which is good. Not that it really matters when I'm inside the shed here milling anyway. What I'm going to do first is, now that the solar panel frame is finished, I've got a few spare 100 by 100 posts just over the back here behind the mill. So now I'm going to start working on getting all the timber together for the roof trusses and also the laundry room. Some of those 100 by 100s I don't need now, but I do need some 100 by 50s. So what I'm going to do is I'll slice some of those down the middle to make some 100 by 50s that I need. Then we've got to go and find a log, which will probably be just one from over there, and we'll get a log on and we'll start milling. So I'll just get these tidied up, and then when we go to get a log, I'll bring you back in on that. We'll get the log and we'll do some more milling then. Right, well, I got that done, and now I need to get a log. I got one up there. I just put the purple strap on. As you can see, it's raining again, and I'm just going to winch it out. Now, thankfully, it's not a huge log, because if it was, it would probably just drag the car because the ground's so wet, especially right where I'm parked right now. It's a bit clay, a bit greasy, so yeah, it wouldn't have worked very well, but it's not an overly big log, so I'll drag it out of there, and then I'll bring the tractor down to pick it up and take it up to the mill. Well, that was fun. I don't know exactly how much of that you saw because I'm not sure which way the camera is pointing. But yeah, got the tractor stuck in there. It's supposed to have a diff lock, which I assumed meant that one wheel can't free spin while the other one can't. But I had one wheel spinning on the front, like the left front was spinning, the right was stationary, the back right was spinning and the left was stationary. So I might need to get that looked at, because that's what I thought diff lock meant, was that it locks both wheels onto the axle so that if you don't have traction on one, the other should engage and pull you out. So what I had to do there was it was just because it's clay, it's so slippery, and I just couldn't get the traction. Even with the big knobby tires, they just fill with clay and become slicks. So I had to get some material in underneath it, even just small branches, twigs, anything to just get some sort of traction. I lowered the log down so I didn't have the weight of the log on the front of the bucket, so that helped. And then initially I stretched the excavator right out to try and put some weight, lift the weight off the front a bit. Didn't really work. But the other thing I've noticed when I'm digging ditches is that sometimes when I'm trying to dig a ditch, if it grabs a good hold, it's actually strong enough to pull the tractor along. So that's why I was leaning back, because I was trying to pull the tractor with the backhoe at the same time as reversing with all of the stuff in underneath and no weight on the front, because I'd lowered the log and everything come together. I finally got it out. That was a lot of mucking around. All I should have done was pulled the log further out. Wouldn't have been an issue, but as the log was starting to come across this other log, it was starting to dig into the ground. I just didn't want to chop the ground. Well, now I've chewed up the ground quite badly because I got the tractor stuck, so it's going to get chewed up either way. So now we'll get this log in and we will start milling it. Let's go and do something fun, because that wasn't really fun. Got 3 more beams out of that log. It wasn't an overly fat log, so it was myrtle. So it's a nice timber. It's this white timber over here on the side. So yeah, 3 more. It's these 3 right here. They are 60 by 110 by 3.2 meters long. That puts me at halfway through those pieces that I need. I need another 6 now. I've already got 3 there that I cut a while back. They've got the clamps on them. So what I'm going to do now is, there's another piece of myrtle. It's the base and it's a lot bigger. So I'm going to go and measure that up. I know there's definitely 3.2 meters length in it. It's just going to depend on the girth of it as to whether I'm going to be able to fit it on to the mill or not. So I'll go down and measure that up, and if it looks like it's going to be a goer, I'll cut that off and I'll drag that up here, and then we'll start to mill that. I'll get a lot more timber out of that one. Well, she's a lot bigger, this one, but managed to get it out okay. And I had to do that last little bit of filming of it being winched out on my phone because the GoPro battery ran out of power. I think they're running out of power a lot quicker. Maybe they're getting older and I might need to get a new one. I've had them about 2.5 years now. So again, another piece of myrtle. It's got a lovely pink on the middle. Not that the colour really matters because it's going to be used for the joists and the beams and everything that are going to be a part of the roof. So I need to get to start milling this one up now. Well, that was interesting. As I was cutting right through the middle of this to make that 2 halves before I stand them up and then slice them again, the whole log just jumped sideways. Thankfully it didn't damage the blade, and it did it with quite a large crack as well, like a bang, because the log did split the bottom one down here on this end. You can see it's cracking up that end. Doesn't matter because I'll be able to slice around that, so it's not a big deal. But when I drag this one out the way, you'll be able to see how much that back end split apart. Yeah, quite the crack. Put my fist in there, so right up the centre. But I've had timber do this before. It's not an issue. I can still slice my 60s. This is 110 deep. I need 60 by 110s, so I got a 60 there, a 60 there, 60 there, 60 there probably. A little bit of excess in the middle. This has a lovely pink heart right through the middle. Brown, blacks, lots of little black spots in there. It really is quite an amazing piece of timber. It's beautiful. I'm looking forward to doing some nice actual woodwork with this myrtle. Not this myrtle, but with some of the myrtle off the block. But yeah, it is a really nice piece of coloured timber. Coloured, textured, the grain in it, it's just incredible. I'll clean this up and I'll just show you the grain and the colour in it. If all the myrtles look like this on the inside, the big ones, well, if any more come down in storms and whatnot, then yeah, it'll be fantastic to work with some of this. Now it's still a bit dirty from me using the muddy brush and whatnot, but you see these beautiful fine stripes in there, the colours. There's some really nice textures in that. So if that's how myrtles are, I do look forward to working with some in the future. there we go. The little house is here. It's a bit windy today too, so as you may have been able to tell, that was pretty dicey trying to get the truck out. Yeah, I was worried and have been for a while. So what I need to do now is I need to get a big tarp wrapped around the house there, just to make sure, because we will get more rain today, guaranteed, and tomorrow. So I just need to get a big tarp wrapped around that, which I've got here. And then this ground is really chewed up now. So I need to get this leveled out a bit, because if we are lucky enough that we don't get much rain, the more level this is, it might dry out again a little bit. Probably won't dry out, but that's just wishful thinking. But I need to sort out all that mess there. We've had rain now every day pretty much for close to a month. The ground's just getting so boggy. There's still another 2 months of that to go yet. Am I excited? Not yet. I'm still worried as hell. We just got to get that crane in and out tomorrow. Once the crane's in and out, then I'll start getting excited, because then I know that the real hard, dicey stuff is done. Then it's just, you know, normal vehicle access coming in and out, and I can deal with that. But these really big heavy trucks, you know, 20 tons worth coming in on these roads is real dicey when it's this wet at the moment. So tomorrow I'll come back up again. We'll have the crane come in, and I'll show you that, and that'll be the end of this video. And then you'll have to wait until the following week's video to see it actually get unfolded and sorted out. But anyway, I got to get a couple of things sorted out here. Stand by in just a second. Hopefully the crane will come in and back out. Well, I just heard from the crane company, and yes, there's another delay. They can't make it tomorrow. They're going to have to wait until Friday morning to get it done. So that means I'm going to have to wrap this video up right here so that you get the video on time. So next week, you'll see the home getting lifted up and put over onto the stumps, and then you'll see us all unfolding it and assembling it as well. So we are getting there, but it just seems like every step of the way there's another delay. We're close. All right, no worries. So thanks very much for watching the video. I hope that you liked it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, because that'll help out a heap. I'd be really grateful for that. And tell some family and friends. So I hope you're enjoying the journey. We are getting close now. You guys, you have a great weekend. Stay safe, take care. I will see you next Friday. Cheers.